Okay. Aloha. How is it? I'm sorry, it looked like there was a little bit of a delay. So if you saw me staring, looking at the screen. Today, we are talking all about why your personal brand begins on LinkedIn and how to use it as your home base. So, we're going to talk about more on that in a minute. But first, how was your weekend? My husband and I were celebrating our ninth wedding anniversary today. So, it's a very special day for us here. We got in plenty of surfing over the past week together. So, we'll probably take it easy today, later on, and sneak out for some time together while the kiddos are at school. So, it should be fun. But now it is time for Mondays with Mindy, a weekly show at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, where I talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I call the three P's of LinkedIn within the synergistic approach framework. So if you have questions about LinkedIn, make sure to comment below. I will answer them on an upcoming live or after this when I'm looking at the replay. So please, please, please share your feedback, like this post. I would be very grateful for that. Let's share the word. And let's get to today's topic. What's all this about thinking of LinkedIn as the beginning of your personal brand? Like, I've never thought about LinkedIn in that way before. Maybe that's you. You're like, okay, tell me more about this. So, the old way of doing a personal brand is to think of it as all these places where you need to have a profile and somehow they all tie together, but not anymore. That's not how we do personal brands these days. When you think of the term personal brand, what immediately comes to mind for you? Is it a personal website? Maybe it's your bio. Maybe it's a list of accomplishments somewhere. Maybe it's your podcast or a YouTube channel, or it is that constellation of all places where you have a profile. So, what actually constitutes a personal brand? Most of us have this very unclear perception of what our personal brand actually is. You cannot download your personal brand. You cannot just send a link of your personal brand to someone. It's hard to sum up all of the components and speak the same language when everyone has a different definition of your personal brand. So, a good number of branding experts will talk about building your personal brand. We've all seen the articles, we've heard the podcast, we've watched the YouTube videos, and we realize it's important. So we all start nodding our heads. Okay, yeah, we get it. We get it. We know we need to build our personal brand. But what is it actually? Is there a place where we can actually start to build our personal brand? Or are we just supposed to start willy nilly building out our profiles all over the internet and hope it ties together into this pretty package called your personal brand? So I get it. It's totally confusing. I know why you think you need to have like a pretty profile all over the places on the internet. So we get sold like these social media planning packages by experts who tell us how to write our entire post for the month in just one day. Do you want to spend a day every month writing social posts? We also get told we need a personal branding expert to help us figure out the meaning and the message behind our personal brand and what we stand for. Overkill? Yeah, I think it is. I really do think it is overkill. And we spend all this time doing all of these things, and still we don't have the elusive personal brand that we want. And that is the problem. I talk to so many people in this area where they're like, Mindy, please just help me with my personal brand. So, what if all you needed to do was to focus on your LinkedIn profile as the start of your personal brand? That's it. Just your profile. Nothing else, just focus on your profile. Think about that for a minute because we are going to come back to that and dive a little deeper. But aloha, for those who don't know me, my name is Mindy Rosser. I'm the founder of Mindy Rosser Marketing, and I have a just launched program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and their network. So the August cohort is already filled, but you can get on the September waitlist. I'll share more details at the end. I help superstars who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become the go to visible expert in their niche so they can get that next opportunity, grow their business, and scale their impact. And in this live, we are going to talk about why not prioritizing LinkedIn as the home base for your personal brand is causing you to miss out on opportunities. creating a lot of extra work for you, and how you can actually use your profile as the starting point for your brand. Are you ready? Let's do this. Reminder to go ahead and like this post, whether you're live or watching from the replay, to give it some social love today. So, if you're like me, you probably have heard a lot of subject matter experts talking about personal branding. It's something that no matter whether you are working a 9 to 5, you're in a corporate job, or you are building your business, everyone talks about, oh, you've got to build a personal brand. It's really important. So, subject matter experts and specialists in their field believe that to build their personal brand, they need to figure out their personal brand before taking any action online. So they spend months working on their messaging, figuring out their brand colors, hiring a designer, figuring out their website layout, all of this time working on that personal brand. But how many people do you know who say they'll launch, write that book, start that business as soon as they have a website or a podcast or a YouTube channel or 1,000 people on their email list? There's all these things that come before that prevent us from taking action on starting our personal brand. There's all these other things that we got to do first. So the thing is, there's one overlooked place that is absolutely free for you to start building your personal brand. And it walks you step by step through all of the nitty gritty details that should be included in your personal brand. And by the title of this live, you probably understand that that place is LinkedIn. That channel that's staring you right in the face, that one that is not the sexiest channel, but it's that place where you go when you're looking for a job, or you're trying to build your list, or you're trying to build your audience. Yeah, it's that one. So if you mention LinkedIn to the aforementioned people, those people spending all that time on their website and their personal brand, they totally discount it as, oh, that's just one of the many channels that I'll get to in my social media constellation after I dial in my website. So that LinkedIn profile is sitting there. It's well and good. It's optimized for search, all these wonderful things. It's not being used. It could actually help facilitate the website process. So at this point, I just want to shout from the rooftops. You don't need a website. You just need a LinkedIn profile. Like, start there. So I have worked personally with dozens of clients and students who didn't have a website at all or an online portfolio. But they did not let that stop them from starting their business, from landing their next opportunity, or getting their dream job. So when you know how to work your LinkedIn profile, your personal brand can start on LinkedIn and it can work for you. And for many professionals, that's actually the only channel they need. They don't need a website, they don't need a podcast, they don't need a YouTube. A lot of them don't need an email list. So let's think about our LinkedIn profiles differently. What if instead of looking at LinkedIn as one of the socials, we decided to value our LinkedIn profile as the home base for our personal brand? Okay, so LinkedIn is a starting place and it leads to everything else. The beauty about LinkedIn is it has all the sections that you need to build out your brand and get clear on your experience, share your story, showcase your portfolio, link people elsewhere if you want them to go elsewhere to see stuff that you've done, share content that engages, and attract the right people when they're in the mindset to do business. LinkedIn does all of that and it's free. So it's totally counterintuitive to what we think. We think we need these expensive branding experts. We got to read all the branding books. We should be, immersed in brand. Actually, you just need to start with LinkedIn. So humans, we like to make things more complicated and think that a website designer or personal branding consultant who has the most gorgeous website and logo is the answer. I'm not saying those things are meaningless. I have a website. But I am saying that you can make a ton of progress with your business, your brand, your presence online if you get laser focused on your LinkedIn profile first before worrying about other channels. So lessen the overwhelm, streamline the focus. So if you've been looking for a way to simplify your efforts and maximize your return on investment, let's talk about why your LinkedIn profile can kickstart your personal brand. You don't have to wait. That's the beauty of it. You can start like right now. And if you decide not to prioritize your LinkedIn profile, guess what? You're probably going to waste weeks, months, or years trying to get it right when a messy first draft using the LinkedIn profile structure could save you all that time. And be sure that you actually can be found online. So go ahead, waste time on a pretty brand, watch how the people starting out at the same point as you skyrocket ahead with their business. And how the heck are they doing it? They don't even have a logo or brand colors. Well, I'll tell you a little secret. They know the power of their LinkedIn profile and they're getting those results that you want. They don't need anything else right now. Okay, so what's so special about your LinkedIn profile? And where can you use the same elements from your profile on other social media channels? This is a question I get asked a lot. Like, okay, Mindy, if I'm going to invest in my LinkedIn profile, can I actually repurpose all of the work that I've done there elsewhere? Yes. So I'm going to mention five of them. There are more, but today I'm just going to talk about five. So the first one is your LinkedIn headline. If you followed any of my videos or content, you've likely heard me talk about this a lot. It is your first impression online on LinkedIn. So when people are searching for you or searching for somebody like you, they're going to see your headline right away. It's right by your name. So you may not get it right the first time. Like a lot of people struggle with getting that headline and feeling good with it. That's okay. Get something down there. But what you're going to want to focus on in getting into that headline is this formula. It's who you are, whom you help, how you help them, plus the results that you generate. So you can come back to this later and listen to that again. But that formula will help you flesh out that section. So the beauty of having a good LinkedIn headline, once you're feeling good about it, you can actually repurpose that across all kinds of other channels. So what I like to do is I like to take that to Facebook, to Twitter, to Instagram, to YouTube, to my website, and it's kind of almost like your elevator pitch. So when people ask you what you do and who you help, you're saying a version of your LinkedIn headline. So once you get this dialed in, it opens up all those doors for you. And it also is like the key to unlocking your personal brand. So spend the time to get your LinkedIn headline right. And I have a resource at the end that I will share too if you're like, okay, I need a little more help on this. So the headline is critical and it's a really neat one that you can repurpose all over the place. All right. So number two is your LinkedIn featured section. So, this section can double as your portfolio of work, especially if you are looking to get hired or you need a place to visually showcase what you've been working on all these years. So, it's really easy to mix it up here and add some LinkedIn posts to showcase your credibility as well. I like to recommend that people keep this section really fresh, and you'll be able to highlight these same pieces of content elsewhere. So, you can link and upload just about anything to your LinkedIn featured section. It's very, very flexible. You can reorder things based on what you want people to see first. So I recommend highlighting the top two things that you want people to see. And then the third one is visible on a desktop, not on mobile. But that one is like a little bit of a teaser. So you can kind of see like three things in the featured section if you're on a desktop. And so, where can you repurpose any content that you put in your featured section? You can actually add a lot of this content to your portfolio if you do decide to have a website at some point. You can also share a lot of this content to a YouTube channel, to your Instagram account, to a Facebook page, and any other place where you are acting online. But I would use that featured section as your hub. So, like your top 8, 10 pieces of content that you want people to see that really tie into your personal brand are in that featured section. And then you can go from there. Like you can repurpose that content elsewhere. All right, so the third one is your LinkedIn recommendations section. So this is where people are recommending you. It's not endorsements where they just have to click a button. This is where they're actually writing a recommendation for your services. So when you have strong recommendations online, just in general, people are more likely to trust you. When it comes to LinkedIn, it's very, very powerful to have a couple, I would say 1 to 2 within the last year or thereabouts, recommendations on your profile. And a lot of times I've talked to a lot of my clients, a lot of my students, and they say it's tough. They have a lot of trouble asking for a testimonial, like via email or something like that, or they're trying to get them on a video. But guess what? Like it's really simple to do on LinkedIn. And a really good approach that you can try is to give the person a testimonial, the one you want to get. You know, you want them to give you a testimony, you're going to give them one first and then encourage them to reciprocate. So, depending on the relationship that you have with this person, that can work very well. And the beauty of having testimonials is that you can repurpose them all over the place. So, if you have a sales page, if you have a spot where you are selling your services on your website, you can take these testimonials from LinkedIn and share them all over. So, it's a really good spot. I actually view my recommendations as like, okay, if you want to look for my testimonials, just look there in my recommendations because I have a good number. So this is really, really powerful for your profile, for your personal brand. And it's kind of like the place. It's the place where you keep your testimonials and where they are kept up to date and they're fresh and people can easily scroll through them. So, a really, really good section to pay attention to, and you can repurpose this content. So, number four is your about section. So, if you don't have one yet, or if it's just a copy from a bio or an executive summary on a resume, you need to get this section dialed in. It's very, very important. You'd be surprised how many people don't even have an about section. So, this is something I teach line by line as part of the LinkedIn Accelerator program because it's your story and how you got from there to here. It shows your personality and exactly how you can help your target audience. So, this section is all about you. This is your story. You should elaborate a little bit here. So, where can you repurpose this content? A lot of people will take what we do in their about section and actually use it on their about page on their website. So that can be a really easy way to kind of plug and play that same content. You could also use this on your Facebook page for those longer bio sections. Other people have used that information and formed a formal bio and submitted it elsewhere. So there's a lot of ways that you can repurpose this content. You can also excerpt some of the paragraphs from this section and reference them later or use them for a short bio and in future copy. So this section, it looks scary. A lot of people feel so intimidated because it's like you have up to 2,600 characters to work with. But once it's solid, you don't have to update it too often unless you're making a major career pivot. And you can just use this content in so many different ways. All right. So moving on to number five, which is your experience sections. So there are very few places online where you can actually get a snapshot of where someone worked professionally. Think about it. Where else can you kind of see their timeline of their history? Most people don't put that on their website. So, whenever I want to see someone's work history, I look up their LinkedIn profile. If I want to see where they've worked, how they got the experience that they have, I don't typically read their about page. I look at their profile because I can easily scan and see all of their jobs and their work history there. And I do that, and that means a lot of other people do it as well. When you're trying to learn, think about it. You're like, huh, yeah. I do stalk people on their LinkedIn profiles and figure out what their history is. So, your experience section can almost double as an always up to date resume. So, do you ever update that Word doc resume buried on your desktop somewhere? Probably not unless you see a great job opportunity or you're in job search mode. So, a way to keep your work experience up to date is to just always keep it updated on LinkedIn. And the beauty of that is you can repurpose this. So, you can actually export your LinkedIn profile into a PDF as a resume, per se. So, if you ever need it on short notice, you can export it. And if it's up to date, all of your experiences are going to be listed there. And you can also use it to inform your resume and kind of flesh things out a little bit more, which is what I do with a number of the clients I work with one on one. So keep that section updated and it will serve it just will you'll get a lot of return on your investment for doing so. All right, so let's recap. So number one is your LinkedIn headline. Keep that updated. That will help with those short bios. Number two is that LinkedIn featured section. This is like your online portfolio, kind of what you're doing now, all of that really interesting stuff. Number three is those recommendations. So you can showcase your testimonials. Number four is your about section, which is your story. Your professional story is what you're telling here. And then number five, your experience section. So people can look and see what your work history is. All right, so that's it for today. That's only five of the ways that you can repurpose content from your profile. And there are about another half dozen that I teach within the LinkedIn Accelerator and using the synergistic approach framework. The key is to start valuing your LinkedIn profile as the starting point for your brand versus kind of, I'm going to get around to it later when you feel that you urgently need it. So I challenge you today to start seeing your LinkedIn profile from a different perspective. It's not one of the many that needs to be worked on. It's the one to work on first and let it inform all of the other elements of your personal brand. And once you get that profile looking rock solid, you'll be able to start building your network and not be afraid to put yourself out there to attract those new opportunities and build your network with new connections. So if you're looking for that extra edge, I mentioned I would share a resource with you at the end. So you can go ahead and get this LinkedIn profile mini training. It's 3 videos, they're relatively short, and it will help you get started on the right path with your profile. And it covers the about section, it covers your headline, and also what to do with your experiences. So we talked about all of those today. So I hope you find that helpful as well. And I will see you next week on Mondays with Mindy. Feel free to leave any questions or comments below, and my inbox is always open if you want to message me directly. So I will see you soon. Have a good rest of your week. Bye for now.